My name is Kathy Walters, and I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber. Before we have our State of the City address by Mayor Schneider, I would first like to invite our 2024 Norwood Chamber Board of Directors up front for our annual installation of officers. As I call your name, please come forward for the installation. Tim Blankenhorn, Park National Bank. Tim Kling, United Dairy Farmers. Donna Lake, Norwood Business and Professional Women's Club. Tracy Tomer, Remax Preferred Group. Jim Perry, Perry Contracting. Mary C. Miller, Norwood Together. Stephanie Downs, the Shepherd Chemical Company. Eric Haynes, Fifth Third Bank. Julie Peter, Indian Mound Cafe. And Mike Skelly, City of Norwood. I'd like to invite Mayor Schneider up front to install.
I don't have directions here to say, raise your right hand, but it feels right to raise your right hand. So please raise your right hand. All right. And repeat after me. In accordance with the Norwood Chamber of Commerce bylaws. In accordance with the Norwood Chamber of Commerce bylaws. Yes, can you hear that, man? I do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear. To uphold the purposes. And to actively support. The programs and activities of this organization. To the best of my ability. As Mayor of the City of Norwood, I do hereby officially install you as officers and trustees for the year 2024. Thanks, President. Congratulations. Well, thank you very much for having me here and for attending the luncheon. It always makes me nervous that only 4 or 5 people will show up, so I always invite a bunch of city people. They tend to show up when the mayor asks them to come someplace. Thank you very much. In years past, I've went through, and we were really trying to build the city back up, and we were putting people in places, and I talked about sort of the organization of the city, and really focused much more on the positive aspects of bringing people in and empowering them and giving them the tools to bring local municipal government to the representatives, or to the community that we represent. So this time it's a little bit different. This is a Chamber of Commerce meeting, so we're going to go a little bit more into some of the other areas. Economic development. I want to talk a little bit about economic development, a little bit about community planning and development, and infrastructure improvements. Well, don't get me wrong, all of our safety service people are doing a great job, and our run times are still down, and when you call an ambulance in the City of Norwood, when you call for medical help, you receive medical help from paramedics that are in an ambulance that arrive on the scene, and they arrive pretty darn quick, so they're doing a great job saving lives. Our police department's still doing a great job. Nothing's changed there. We have a different police chief this year. He's got a lot of great new ideas. He's been working closely with the safety service director on. And our public works, I call it the power of public works. Those guys are doing a great job keeping our streets and keeping all of our different facilities looking good. So, but I really want to focus on some other areas. Economic development and community planning. One of the biggest, I'll try to work through these, but economic development, in years ago, when the city had a ton of money, they had a person that was hired specifically for economic development. Did a pretty good job, kept his hands into everything, tried to understand everything that was going on in Hamilton County. But then we ran into some times where we were running lean. So when you're running lean, you can't have all these extra people. So now in recent years, we've started to get to a point where we're pretty flush. If you look at the finances of the city, we're in pretty good shape right now. We had a carryover in the last 3 years, a carryover of funds, meaning we didn't outspend the income coming in. And in years past, we've had a hard time making payroll towards the end of the year. But in these last few years, the last 4 years, we've done pretty darn good at keeping things coming in. So with that, when I first took over, I said, well, what's the best way? What do we need to do? And I talked about we were restructuring. We were putting people back in place. At that time, we sort of looked at economic development and should we have an economic development director working for the city. But we had this incredible resource, which was called HCDC, which is now called the Alloy Development Company. And we started talking to them about how other communities are doing economic development and what's the right way to do it. And what struck a chord with me is that in years past, the Norwood was considered sort of like a little island. And it seemed like at times we weren't taking advantage of the opportunities that Hamilton County and that the region and that the state were presenting to municipalities. And I wanted to make sure that when we started with economic development this time, we were really tapping into all the resources that are out there. I ran on leveraging the funds that we do have and making sure we're getting the biggest bang for the buck out of it. We're not just going to repave a street. We're going to go and try to get grant money or funds that we can make it a bigger and do more. So that was one of the reasons we engaged Alloy Development, the HCDC, and Catherine Fitzgerald. If you'd stand up, I'd like to recognize Catherine. So I could have, at the time, we could have hired a new person and brought in and started trying to build this economic development machine, but we didn't. We decided to go this other route. And what we did was bring in years and years and years of experience. And not just experience in economic development overall, but years and years right in our backyard. People that understood what the potential of Norwood was and what we could do. So this was, I think, one of the best ideas and one of the best things I got the support of City Council on, is they said, let's move forward, let's go this direction. So, and we've reaped the benefits of it. For this slide, I bring up because this is a Chamber of Commerce meeting, right? You're all business people. Well, these are all the different programs. A lot of these are programs that maybe you've taken advantage of. Maybe if you were in the incubate room there, you took advantage of it. Or if you're living in the city or working in the city of Norwood, these are different ones. And those opportunities are still there. And we have access to help with all of that. So think of, when you're thinking of doing an expansion, business retention and expansion and attraction. That's the three that we really needed in this city. So we're working on those things. Anyways, with economic development, we really started. But then the other part, so some of these, I know you guys have been involved in them. If you have questions about it, you can contact me, you can contact Mike Skelly. Clearly, you can contact Catherine Fitzgerald. We're always ready to talk about that. What idea do you have? What's really going on? And I hope that you will share this with everybody else as you're discussing it with your coworkers and with other business owners and, quite frankly, your neighbors who have businesses. We want them here. We'll help do whatever we can to take care and move that forward. We also brought on Mike Skelly, and Mike Skelly is our Community Development Director. Mike, you want to stand up and be recognized? And I know most of you already know Mike because he's been involved with the Chamber for a while and represents the city on the Chamber. Does a great job. Mike brought that, on one hand you say, I don't want to bring in an outsider. I'd like to have somebody that has all this knowledge, this historical knowledge and everything that's going on in Hamilton County. Well, Mike is the other flip to that coin. He is that outsider's perspective. He's that guy that's worked in different cities and different states and different, really, countries, and brings a fresh perspective to it. And that is something that was direly needed at City Hall also, and Mike does a great job bringing those things forward. Really smart, really intelligent, savvy guy that can read stuff and look at all the different perspectives to it. He's been a huge asset to us on the Zoning Commission and on the Planning Commission. So big part of it. So he's led zoning ordinance changes. Planning Commission is something that I'm on. The Safety Service Director is on. Planning Commission, trying to look and keep the city moving in the right direction. Looking at different trends and trying to adopt, and sometimes it is, we're behind the eight ball because other communities have recognized a problem or a challenge, and the Planning Commission is now trying to catch up. What should we be looking at? So Mike has been involved in that, looking at our zoning, looking at changes that potentially need to be put in place. We've been around a long time. So of course there's going to be there's always something that has evolved or changed, and we've been working on that. So he works with us on that. He worked to put together a the storefront revitalization program on Montgomery Road. We've been around a long time. You know, a lot of our buildings are 100 years old, and they get rehabbed and keep moving, and that's great. But he's worked to put together a grant program that would help and actually sort of incentivize the people to clean up and make it look nicer. So that's a great one. Improve your property values. And then he's been working with the stakeholder meetings to promote future bike accessibility. And when a lot of times when people talk about bike accessibility, I look at it as a mode of transportation, and that's how all of us should look at it, as a mode of transportation. It's not, bikes are not just 12-year-olds main road bicycles. Anymore, they are absolutely modes of transportation. And we have thought at City Hall, we've thought, how do we improve all of our modes of transportation? Everybody will say, fix the streets. Yes, we're going to fix the streets. But we're also going to fix the bus stops. We're also going to fix our mode of transportation, the bike way. So there's multiple ways to do it. We are a pedestrian-friendly community, which has sidewalks everywhere, right? So those have been big parts of it. I'm going to go into that a little bit more, a little bit deeper. And then assisting developers in navigating the building permitting process for Allison Street Elementary School redesign and renewal. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Allison. Was actually what you see, the building that's standing up there is the original high school for the city of Norwood. So there was, I don't know that it's the original one, because there was probably one after that. But this is the original high school, and then they built onto it another building. Now they've taken that building down. They're keeping the high school building, which is just a grand and incredibly good-looking historical building, and they're going to put condos into that, and then they're going to rebuild basically around that whole block, that whole area. And he's been working with the developers on that process. Incredibly important addition to our community. And then assisted planning with the review and approval of the Factory 52 Phase 2. So how many of you are aware that Factory 52 was the old playing card company, right? And the PLK company purchased the land, and they have put in a incredible development with a couple of restaurants sitting in there. Well, actually, there's probably, if you think about it, the Gatherall has 10 or 12 different places to eat. A couple of breweries are in there, and then housing, and just a beautiful area, you know, the green space out in front of it, and just a first-class operation. If you haven't been there, you should go over and check that out. And then they're getting ready on Phase 2. Phase 2 is putting some office building in there, an office tower in there, which they are planning on moving their headquarters, their actual corporate headquarters, to the location, and then putting in a hotel and some more housing in there. So it's going to be interesting how that works. We've got the other part is demolition of the Quality Inn building. That was one of the things we were pushing hard to get that behemoth eyesore off of the landscape and out of the city, and we were able to get that completed. And PLK is working on that process of improving that. Mike's been instrumental in demolishing the 2 buildings for the Perry and Derrick site. Perry and Derrick was the old paint company that was in the city of Norwood for years. The building went through a couple of different owners, had some cleanup problems, and then has set and had major challenges for years. It's now owned by the Port Authority because the city was really talking to the port, and Catherine was working on getting the port involved in it. And now it's got, there's I wouldn't say light at the end of the tunnel, but there are plans being put in place. It's actively being listed out there, and we'll see something happen there. So those are big ones. This is Mike's slide. He liked the story of the Phoenix. Major changes are the Harriers from positive. What'd you say?
Surprised you kept it.
Oh, I kept it, and I kept the Phoenix on there. I love it. That was great. Economically, we're continuing to assist developers in creating attractive, fun, safe, and vibrant communities. This is the back part of the Factory 52 clock tower, but you can see Highwire Brewery is this lower level, and then this upper level, they have a really nice patio area up there, and it's a great attraction. And then you can see the start and finish line. Most recently, we had the Norwood Gym of the Highlands 5K that the Norwood Together group puts together, or maybe it's an offshoot team of that Norwood Together group now, but a great foot race, a lot of fun. Like I already said, anticipated hotel, office and hotel, and it's highlighted because I'm not allowed to tell you what hotel it is, but it's going to be top notch somewhere. It'll be one that you'll be like, yeah. And you know, hotels in Norwood have done so well. If you look at the hotels over at Rookwood, they're packed all the time, and it's all about location. Gosh, we were sitting, my wife and I were sitting in J. Alexander's Redlands having a dinner in December, and there were people just walking everywhere and so much going on. I was like, well, this is the place to be. If you were coming into Cincinnati and you were going to be here for a week, you want to get at one of those hotel rooms. You can go to a different high-class restaurant every night on your per diem. So Montgomery Road, 4747 Montgomery Road is the old Quality Inn building. They have not came up with the name for that yet, but potentially another 150, and it'll be first class. And it'll also include a 460-foot extension to Crown Avenue. So Crown will come all the way back out to Montgomery Road, where Frisch's is will be changed, and that light will be changed to make access onto that land. An interesting part of that is as we're working through that, there are some, you know, everybody, maybe some of you have not heard Clint Zimmerman's name, but Clint Zimmerman is our superintendent of public works. He is the power of public works. But Clint and the safety service director, no, we're talking about what needs to be done there in the water system and how it's going to supply the system. And Clint came up with some ideas, and then they did some calculations, and we need to extend some water lines and do different things. Well, you know, the developers are like, well, the water line's okay, another $150,000, you guys are, you know, that might seem like nickel and dime to some developers, but developers are pretty cost conscious. So NOAA got hold of the CDBG group, the Community Development Block Grant group, to find out, and they are working through that to facilitate an improvement that will happen prior to the development going in there that will improve the water system. It's not an all done deal, so I should say Noah's back there like, be careful where you go with that. But it's that type of forward thinking that really sets, in my opinion, this administration and the people that are working for the city of Norwood now. They are thinking, what's really the improvements that we need to make while we're here? And that's an incredibly important part of it. Allison, you're looking at, this is the old school. I was talking about the high school. 17 large townhomes, 23 condo apartment type units, mostly 2 bedrooms, right? So a lot going on in that Cortland and Allison Avenue area. Oops, and 2. Montgomery Road traffic calming and sidewalk improvements. We are working on improving Montgomery Road in the core, the downtown core, what was always called the business district of Norwood. We are working to improve that. We are going to bump out curves. It is going to be a road diet, so we are going to narrow down. Right now, that Montgomery Road is about 9 lanes wide, 7 to 9 lanes wide. It's ridiculous. I think about it like, I walk to school across that Sherman Avenue intersection all the time, and I never saw anybody get hit, but gosh, there's so much, it's so wide, it's so dangerous. So we've got pedestrian improvements going all through that area. We've got landscape improvements that will occur all through Montgomery Road. And then resurfacing will start. No, I think you said the curb work will be started this year. The resurfacing will be next year. But there's a lot of interesting stuff that's going to go on right there. And then another big one to talk about is the multicolored court, which is the large brick manufacturing facility that is on Robertson at Beach. And they're closing down that operation. They gave notice to the city about 6 months ago. So we're looking at that saying, you know, I looked at it immediately and said, reactivation. We need, you know, we're trying to bring all this manufacturing back to the United States, right? And what better place right here in the Court? I don't know that that's going to work out. So we're looking at renovation, remediation, demo, whatever, but we're not going to let that building sit there for long. We are going to be proactive. We're going to continue to work to make sure that that building site and that land is moving in the right direction for the community. Some street improvements, because even as I left a meeting earlier before I came to this, as I walked out the door, once somebody yelled at me, and it's real funny, he yelled, "Fix the potholes!" Like, good Lord, come on, leave me alone. But anyways, we have that. We constantly fix potholes. I mean, we bought the equipment and we've done better at it. But right now, looking at completed street improvements, this is just last year. Mills Avenue, Walter and Montgomery, Floral Avenue, Parks of Smith, Regent Avenue, Slane Avenue, Barlowman Avenue, Barlowman Court, and Arco. And this is, you know, if you look at the city of Norwood, we're 3 square miles, but if you look at the city of Norwood, and Montgomery Road splits it right down the middle, and then you have the lateral running across, right, north to south. We're trying to do paving projects in all the different areas. We're trying to make sure that everybody gets a feel for, gets to feel some fresh pavement under their tires at times. It's the streets, these are the streets that are necessary. We did an engineering study a couple of years ago, and we continue to work off of that engineering study, taking care of the streets that were rated the lowest, trying to take care of those first. And then Clint also has projects going on with the water system, with our water system all the time. We just received our clearance from the EPA. This is something that's been going on for about 6 years. We've been making improvements to our water system. We just received clearance that we don't have any outstanding issues with our water system at this point, which was great news from the EPA. The EPA actually came into the city, the director of the EPA came in to sit down and talk to Clint and Noah and myself and others about how it worked, how we were so successful, the city of Norwood was so successful moving forward, moving our program together to make sure that our municipal water system was in the best shape possible. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. It's 100% better than it has been, so that was a big deal. These are some of the water system improvements. Residential remote read. So for years and years and years, ever since I was around, you had a water meter reader that would go and either get out the key, he had this huge thing of keys, and go in the side door of your house or in the front door and go down the basement and read your, we are eliminating that. They are actually not going to go into houses anymore. Of course, during COVID, that was very tough to do, right? Who's going to let you in the house? We got COVID. So we've improved that, and we've put new water meters in. So the water that's being consumed, those water and sewer fees are now really more quantifiable, and we can track it. We can track if there's a water leak, a mass flow at your house, it'll come through on the system. Those are things we never had in the past. They can also look and they'll be able to pull up information on the computer that says, you know, the Indian Mountain Cafe was running right here, and then 2 months ago something happened, and now you're up here, and your water. What happened 2 months? Oh, we put the new water software system in 2 months ago. That's what the increase is. So we've got systems like that in place that'll make it so much easier. Not to pick on you, Julia. It's, yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because one of the restaurants, one of the nice new restaurants that I really love, named after vehicles, they had some high water bills. Excuse me. They had some high water bills. And our guys went in and did an evaluation, and they definitely had some fixtures in their bathroom that were not very water efficient, and they were paying for it. They're cool. That's really cool urinal, but that's a problem, you know. So it's all money. So I talked about completed the EPA mandated water improvements, and then Regent Avenue lead line removal. So we have a little water system. And we do have feed lines that go into houses, some of them that are lead lines, but they're fully encapsulated, which means there's a scale that's grown on the inside of that lead line, so we don't have any major problems with that. But we always want to get rid of those. We'd like to eliminate those out of the system altogether. So Clint continues to work on programs to try to eliminate those lead line systems that are in there. Catch base replacements, Mentor Avenue, Ash Avenue, Forest Avenue. These things are on there because they're infrastructure improvements that cost a ton of money, but you never really see them. And it's something that when the city, you say, well, how's the city going through so much money so quickly? We have very old stormwater systems, and we have combined sanitary and stormwater systems, and there's a lot of work to be done. If you think about all these different road projects, when they do the road projects, they are taking out the corner curbs and putting in the wheelchair accessible, the handicap ADA compliant stuff. So it ends up being a lot more money. There are other communities that were built much sooner that don't have that problem. They just go and mill and pave and they're done. We have a lot of extra work there. 12-inch storm sewer on the Norwood lateral, north of the Norwood lateral. Money that has to be spent, but it gets expensive. And that underpass, you guys know that the underpass on Forest was closed for quite a while. There's some huge stormwater lines under there. They were all galvanized steel. So after 40 years, they failed, and that's what we were working with. But we did it right. We had $300,000. This is another one where we reached out to others. State of Ohio provided $300,000 in assistance. I think the key word that's missing in there is an emergency assistance. I think that came out of emergency assistance fund. So we made an application to them, and they said, well, we're not sure if that meets the criteria. And then they came back and said, it does meet the criteria. Here's the money. Yeah, that was a good day at City Hall. Yes, another one. Upcoming street improvements. Norwood Lateral 562, eastbound, starting in March. So the Norwood Lateral is going to it's going to be a mess here soon. It's going to be a mess. They're shutting down the eastbound, 2 lanes eastbound. Nobody will be able to travel. You'll be able to come westbound. Don't worry, you can go there. You just can't get back. So they're going to do, there's a large overpass part there. It's a large bridge, and that has major problems. I shouldn't say it's major problems. It's still safe. Don't worry. You're all good. But they are going to make some major changes to that to try to improve it. And then they will start on the westbound lane after that. We've also got lateral lighting upgrades. The lights on the lateral have not worked for the last 10 or 15 years. When I got involved, we got some of the lights on, especially around the entrance and exit ramps, and we got some sporadically, but it's really hard because some of the lines, some of the connector lines between them have shifted, and there's different things that have happened. So we're gonna get some of that work completed. State Route 561. Now this is an interesting one within the city. We're getting this done. Our goal was to have this completed prior to the State Route 562 work really getting going. I don't know that it's going to work out just the way we wanted it to, but we think that a lot of traffic will come out of 71 and be using State Route 562, Smith and Carthage, to make that connector over. So that will be repaved, and that's a major thoroughfare through our city. So we've got 3 major thoroughfares that will be taken care of in the next few years. 562 is going to be the big one, Norwood Lateral. 561, Carthage and Smith. And then the final one for us is Montgomery Road. We should be in pretty good shape. Lincoln Avenue, and then South Jefferson was not official at the time of printing, but it might be now. We got grant money, and we're getting some grant money for those, and for Ralston Avenue. So those are the other residential streets. Everybody wants the street that they live on, resurfaced. Some of them need it more than others. And we're trying to use that program or the engineering study to make the decisions and go the right direction. This is some of the Montgomery Road pedestrian improvements. So 2024 is when they're bumping out curves, improving the intersections, improving the crosswalks and the landscape. On Montgomery Road side, if you think about where Walgreens is or where the Ventura Event Center, that's at Sherman Avenue, Montgomery Road intersection, we pushed them to bump that sidewalk out, make the sidewalk even bigger on the Walgreens side to try to give those businesses a little bit more space between where the cars are parked and where the building actually comes up. So we're going to see how that works out. We've got landscaping that'll go through there. We're even working on taking some of the power, the power lines underground in that section too. And I remember they did that years ago in Mount Adams, and it was super expensive. It looks great, but it was very expensive. We're going to do a couple of block section there, and I think that'll change, really aesthetically make it so much nicer. So the Congress on New Urbanism, CNU Legacy Project. We received word that we were going to be able to take advantage of this. They have the CNU is a organization that was put together in like I think it was 97 or 99, and what they do is they basically look at communities, older communities like ours, and they say, how can we improve them? How can we make them, the place that you want to live? And I think years ago, I think it's changed quite a bit, probably mostly because of their work. But everybody was flocking out of the cities. And what this group got together and said was, wait a minute, there's so many great things going on in the cities. How can we improve them, and how can we hold on to the people that live in the cities? So they are holding their national convention in Cincinnati this year. We were awarded this area. And we were given the Legacy Project, one of the projects that they will complete and then present at the convention. And they are putting together a bike infrastructure plan for us. So there's a couple of different planners. One's from Connecticut and the other one's from New Jersey or something. But these are the professionals that have been doing this all over the country. And they're working on it with a group of people, with the Norwood Together group and the city administration group, to put this plan together. Whether we implement every bit of the plan, I don't know. Whether we implement portions in certain areas, we'll see. But I think it was something that Duke Energy got behind also, and they threw some money into putting this plan together. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. But keep in mind, there are some charrettes, some shareholder meetings, so that when I was talking to my sister about this, she was like, oh, what? Are they going to ask us what we like, or what do we want to put in here? I said, well, yeah, absolutely, they are. It's going to be great. So there's going to be a couple of different meetings. There's a week, like 3 days, that they're going to come in. I can't remember if it was February or March. Does it say right on there? Okay, there we go. That sounds good. Thanks for putting that on the slide. But nonetheless, please, if you have time, attend. Put in your 2 cents. They're going to come with some plans, and if there's something on it that you don't like, that's where you need to say, like, oh, wait a minute, what are you trying to do here? And it might be part of the plan that City Council says, no, we're not implementing that. We can implement these 3 things. But it all comes down to what the city, the members of the community want to do. So, and then the bike path connector, the Wasson Way connector. I don't know if any of you have really been on the Wasson Way in this area, but it connects. It's such an awesome, improvement to our community, and we, Norwood, really didn't do much to it. We didn't have much say in it. It's in Cincinnati. If you're on the Wasson Way, you're in Cincinnati. You're over the border. When they were dedicating the Wasson Way path, I was there and John Cranley was there, and I stood over on this side. I said, I'm on the Norwood side. You stayed over there, John Cranley. And so we each made, we got to talk for a few minutes. But now the city of Norwood is looking at the acquisition of land to extend it. And this is something we started years ago. It dropped. We've started it again. Now we actually are to a point where we've had the land, we've got evaluation of the land. We've talked to the railroad. We're sort of moving along. Redevelopment of the right-of-way, once we acquire the land, this is land. I'll show you another slide that goes through, and it's a bridge improvements and restorations. But what it'll do is connect the Wasson Way over to one of our park systems, Upper Millcrest Park. So we are in, if you look at this picture, we're in the big white top building, right? So we came out and we're in this area here. Now, you sort of have to turn it. If you look at the beginning of the green line, that is actually the HCDC building. So you guys can right? You can buy a house over on the west side of Norwood and then just ride your bike to work. That'd be perfect. But it'll run across this big area right here. There were train tracks that ran across there, and you can see where Xavier's path is already sort of running that way. They're anticipating this stuff. They've got some smart people at Xavier. Weird. So then this is the other side. This is Norwood side, and you can see where the big power lines run through. But this is Lower Millcrest and Upper Millcrest. It's a perfect tie-in. So it is roughly 1.5 miles, 2 miles. It's not a real long connector, but it connects back in, and it just, and I don't know, I've looked at the different information that's came out about the streetcar and the billions of dollars of money that's been dumped into the real estate around where the streetcar runs. There's got to be a bump in the value of all these homes like this. You know, you see this Norwood over here, these homes over here. If we can pull it in there, that's got to improve the property values in that area and give the people who live there something that's incredible to connect to. The Wasson Way, if we connect this, it's connected to the Wasson Way, which is what, 34 miles or 35 miles of bike trails through this area? Man, that'd be great, especially if you're a bike enthusiast. And it's interesting, just so happens, I'm very enthusiastic about it, but you know, our community development director is a bicycle guy. You can look at him and tell he's a bicycle guy. So it'd be interesting to get this done. We also talked about the infrastructure and transportation enhancements. I was in not Baltimore. I was in Birmingham, Alabama over the weekend, and this was two of the bus stops, or one of the bus stops that I looked at, and this is something I'd love to see us put in place in Montgomery Road. This is a bus stop that's set up. It's handicapped accessible. You can go up in there, provide some protection for people who are waiting for bus. It also does not, the buses don't kneel down when they come. You know how the Metro buses at this point will pull up to a curb and they sort of hip over, drop down. These are built in. They've got actual pads, and you can actually even see the sheriffs where their bike path stuff is going right through that area too. So I really want the city of Norwood to adopt some of this stuff. We have the opportunity. We've been meeting with SORTA. We met them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And we've looked at different bus stops and what we can do to make it even more accessible and friendlier to use. I tell you, I ride the bus down to Reds games, Bengals games, downtown events. You can ride the bus from Norwood down right on Montgomery Road, and we got the number 4 bus. Actually, we have what's considered the number 4 bus, but it's 3 different locations that they end up at. But it runs through Norwood about every 20 minutes. You walk to the bus stop and be downtown in 10 minutes, and then jump on the streetcar and ride it for free, which we did 2 weeks ago. It was a lot of fun. Of course, it was what we were doing at each stop that made it a lot of fun. But it's awful nice. Let's get on that thing, it's a lot of fun. So hopefully we can continue all these improvements. I didn't look at time, but I'm almost done now. So even if you give me the wrap it up, I'm wrapping it up. This was a slide that was on there the last year and the year before. It is continuous improvement, and it's continuous improvements in City Hall. And we are identifying improvement opportunities, justifying the needs, looking at root cause. We're defining a process for improvement, and probably the biggest part is we're studying the results and did we achieve the goal, and that's something that's important right now. We continue to have success in City Hall because of the people that are working there, and they're really working hard to make the best of everything that we can provide for the community. And when I say the community, I'm talking about the business community as well as the residential community. We want everybody to succeed in the city of Norwood. Hopefully, as a business owner and operator, you see that, and just from this, you see that there are so many positive things going on in the city of Norwood, and a lot of it has to do with the business leaders and all of you being involved in the chamber. We really appreciate all the efforts that you put in place to make our city as good as it gets. So that's it. Thank you.